Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I'm back with Jeanne Andrus, the Menopause Guru. Welcome, Jeanne.
Hi, Cassie.
Hello. I'm so excited to talk to you today. As always, I say that all the time.
As always.
Always, tell me something awesome.
This has been an awesome weekend. So, you talk a lot about manifesting 10K. Well, I did manifest a 10K this week. This weekend. Some runner friends of mine were in town to do the Mardi Gras Rock and Roll Half Marathon. And I've just gotten back to training for running after a really long time of feeling injured and feeling not quite ready to go back to it. And I decided a few weeks ago to start back good and strong. And I knew I wasn't ready for a half marathon, but when I realized that the 10K was also on Sunday morning, I just signed up on the spur of the moment. So I manifested 10K this weekend.
Yes.
So I ran the 6.2 miles in a little over an hour and a half, which was a really good pace for me. Feels really strong, and it feels like it's something that I can do with my upcoming half marathon this June, and I'm really super excited to be back running.
Yay, that's awesome. I love it. And it's so funny. We have mutual friends that would always tell me when they saw me post like manifest 10K, they always thought it was a race because they were runners. When you said that,
yeah, so it was a little different 10K this weekend, but it was kind of fun because it was just like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to get up tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. and drive down to New Orleans and run 6.2 miles, and it'll be fine. And it was great.
That's awesome. Yay. I love it. Cool. Well, let's dive. That's really awesome. Do you want to tell the wallet story too? Because I think that's really fun.
So about, I don't know, 2 years ago, my husband came home one day and he said, I can't find my wallet. And he tore his work truck apart and he tore the house apart, and we were all just like, where is this stupid wallet? And he was really worried that, because he gets that way, he was worried that somebody would find it and take his bank account. And I just said, no, this is fine. Whatever it is, and when it's ready, it'll come back to us, and we'll find out what happened to it. Well, it's been almost 2 years, and I kind of assumed that somehow it had hit the trash can or something like that, or had fallen somewhere where it just would never be recovered. But on Saturday morning, one of his customers called and said, I was moving my couch this weekend to clean behind it, and there was your wallet. And of course, it was one of these customers who wouldn't have dreamed of touching anything. So all the money was still there. All the cards were still there. All the old phone numbers and receipts were still there. And it was just like, oh, yeah, I knew this was coming back some one of these days, and it did.
And it did. And it's so fun when you get to be on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Super fun. So let's talk about what's coming up in your business. What are you working on right now? And then we'll kind of backtrack to lead into it.
So I'm working on creating a 5-day cleanse, eating and exercise, so that women who are going through the transition of menopause and are having trouble getting their bodies to behave, get some control of them, can have a way to jumpstart an eating plan or a lifestyle plan, really, that will support them. And in order to do that, I talk about cleansing, which is really a whole food cleanse. This isn't an herbal thing. This isn't a product-based thing. And it's certainly a eat plenty of food kind of thing. So it's designed to help women get that start. And I'm giving it away for free to anybody who's ready to start making a change in their lives. And I'm really excited about it because I'm creating it so that anybody can start anytime, not on a Monday, not on the first Monday of the year, not on on a particular day or time based on my timing, but based on their timing, based on when their body says, we're just ready for a change.
Absolutely. And I love this because we're going to talk and show all of the pieces. So if you're a business owner and you're working on marketing and you're trying to figure out, like, you want to pay special attention. Anyone who uses the law of attraction wants to understand this is a great story. All of them are great, but this is a lot of specifics about, I talk a lot about inspired action and doing what it is when it's inspired. And one of the things that I would say is hardest to teach, but might be hardest to learn, is that just that one step at a time and not 10 steps at a time. And this is a great story that illustrates how everything's coming together, but we couldn't see it all at the beginning, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we're going to come back, but I want you to talk a little bit about Deb, because she is somebody. So what Jeanne and I do is we work very specifically on her business. And I help her get in touch with her future clients. And actually, I'll let you describe that process.
So the process is that everything I do, there's so many women out there in menopause. Just like Cassie, you work with anybody who needs to understand and learn how to put the law of attraction into their lives. I work with all kinds of women who are dealing with this transition of menopause, with their menopause journey. And that could manifest in a lot of different ways. So we pick someone for whom a particular issue is the problem. And we give her a name, and we give her a face, and we give her a reality. And we give her the results we know that she wants. So we go to the end and we look at who she is after this problem has been fixed, and then step back to see how it was fixed for her and how we brought her into my sphere so that I could help her. Does that explain it good?
Yeah, it was good. We go to the future after she's not just the client, or we're not just talking like an avatar. You did a great job, and I just want to add a little to it. Is we go to the future place where she has been helped. She is telling you thank you. She is, and then we see what is her name. She really tells us what her name is in the process, and then we can see by what she said. We can trace back what I call the path to paying client. And we can trace her back to the beginning and say, well, how did she even get in my world? What was it that I said to her? What was her problem? And for Jeanne's business, because menopause, your menopause journey can have many symptoms that come with it because your body shifts and changes due to hormones. That's my quick version. Jeanne has in-depth explanation. But there's multiple symptoms. And so we realized a little over a year ago, we wanted to speak to each individual symptom and create a program that Jeanne can run, because it makes sense for your business and your future business. And for, people are in this menopause journey for a period of time. And so when they get connected with you, you can keep serving them with these different symptoms and all of that. And so, so we find who you're writing for and how you're serving them. And so talk a little bit about Deb and her numbers.
So Deb is a person for whom she's never been too terribly worried about when she goes to the doctor. She just goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, "You're fine, Deb. See you next year." And unfortunately, Deb is the person who goes to the doctor, and all of a sudden menopause has changed her metabolism in ways that she never expected. And her numbers are bad. And by numbers, I mean her blood pressure's creeping up there and her cholesterol is high, and maybe her insulin numbers, her fasting blood sugars, and her A1C are bad. They're creeping up towards pre-diabetic, and maybe even her weight is a problem, but that's not her big problem. Her big problem is her health, and she's scared because she's seen her mother and her grandmother and others in her family start living on pills and taking one pill for one symptom and then taking one pill for the side effects of that pill and another and another and another until she's taking a handful of pills every day. And it's not the way Deb wants to live her life. She doesn't want to think of herself as a sick person who needs all this medication. And she's not. She's really a person for whom the changes of menopause have changed her metabolism, and she has to learn a new way of keeping her body healthy and a new way of eating and taking care of herself so that she can just not think about those pills, not be the person who has to take all those pills every day.
Mm-hmm. And so Deb, as we walk back to Deb's beginning, really starts where she sees something from you about going to the doctor and getting this news and really being devastated about these numbers.
Happened to me.
Yeah.
It really did. It started even earlier than I was fully aware that I was in perimenopause, and my blood pressure was going up and my cholesterol was going up, and my doctor wanted to put me on blood pressure medication, which I took for a while, and also statins, which scared the heck out of me because they've got huge side effects that are frankly dangerous. And so I didn't want to be on them. So I wanted to do something that worked.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So I just wanted to introduce Deb, and we're going to come back around to Deb. And I believe we talked a little bit in the last interview about the cleanse, the New Year's cleanse. And we talked about, and so all of this really did start as an inspiration. Oh, I think I should partner with someone, or an inspiration to, I don't think it was a should, but, I could partner with this person and give a menopause cleanse, right?
Yes.
So that's first inspiration, right?
Right.
And we talked it through, and I said, why do you need someone else? Right. And the place we got to was,
I don't really.
I'm the expert, and you could own the expert, right? Which is part of owning your future self. It's part of owning, all of who you are. And so you created the cleanse. And so just give us an overview of that process and what happened.
So the cleanse was a 5-day introduction to eating a little more healthfully, and it was about taking out some things out of your diet that don't help, especially once you're dealing with this menopause journey, and putting in some things that really do. And it's a little different than the traditional conventional wisdom that most of us who are in this age range grew up with, especially those of us who grew up with the low fat, fat-free foods, which still keep showing up. I got fat-free chocolate milk after my race yesterday. I'm like, what the heck is this? But it's true, because that was what we grew up with. That's what we learned, and that still carries over today into a lot of the way that people advise us to eat. And so my goal was to create a way of eating that people could, or women could, take to for 5 days and try it and see what worked for them and what didn't work for them, and try and move some of the stuff out of their diet that was really getting in the way of their health, and not it really was all about feeling better, not necessarily weight loss or any of those other reasons, but the fact that we need to eat healthfully. So that's where it started.
I love it. And so from a business perspective, you spent the latter part of December creating this, getting it all up, launching it, having several people in it. Um,
Close to 30.
Close to 30, which is awesome, right?
Yes.
And then just kind of you launched it. It was, and I'll let you talk a little bit about that.
So I put out a lot of social media posts. I put out a lot of posts to my list and let them know I was doing it, and it was free. And created a Facebook group, did the whole thing, and then kind of freaked myself out.
Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about that in one second.
Okay.
But also infused all of those very business actions with a lot of LOA and scripting out results and scripting out these people so you knew who you were talking to.
Yes, and we actually had several of them. We had a couple of people who were a person who was coming from my list, and a person who was coming from the social media posts. So we actually were targeting different people with that, people who were already in my circle and people who weren't.
Yeah.
Both. Which
is awesome, because it's learning to speak directly to who, not just speaking to everybody, but each thing, and understanding you don't have to speak to everybody in every post, right? You can speak to one person and lots will hear you.
Right.
This is awesome. And so then you launched it, and then what happened?
So I launched it, and I kept coming up with little pieces that I needed to add, and sort of throwing them in half baked, I would say. Mm-hmm. Because they seemed like good ideas, and some of them seemed like good ideas, and then they really were too big for what I was doing. They were too much for somebody to really handle in just a week. Mm-hmm. So there were fits and starts. Yeah. And I felt like there was some stuff that I was trying to do, and some stuff that I was overdoing. Mm-hmm. So at the end, I had hoped to talk to a number of these people and see what they needed from me in the long run. And we created a series of emails to go out. And somehow my own personal freak out, fear, whatever you want to call it, kind of got in the way. And I set it up, and I set it up wrong, so that several of them didn't go out. And it was a technical glitch. It wasn't even, I had set them up, but I'd set a switch that I hadn't actually activated them, I think.
Yeah.
Which is like, how can you go through all of that and then not activate it? And then because of the particular weekend it was that this stuff was supposed to go out, I didn't check. Mm-hmm. And so I just plain blew it.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I think you've said this in the process of saying that you blew it, but instead of having this reaction of, I don't know how to do this, I'm never going to have to run my business, things that would have been way old, and every business owner has probably said, right? You went to, there was a fear that got in the way.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what's the difference in understanding that and jumping right into that story of, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, all of those things?
Well, the truth of the matter is, you can fix fear.
Yes. Say more.
You can fix fear. I mean, you can't fix being totally incompetent forever.
Right.
But if it's just fear, even if it's fear showing up as you're totally incompetent forever, you can fix fear. And the way you fix fear is the way that you've been teaching me to fix fear for years. And that is to go to your future self, who has already done this, who has already had a functioning cleanse program in place for years. It's probably something that she just runs off of her website and just gives people. And at the end, they either, I don't even know what they do with her, because I haven't quite gone there. Maybe I should next week. But she already knows how to bring hundreds of people into her circle and then do with them what they need to get done in the most effective manner for them and for her as a businesswoman. So that's how you get rid of the fear.
Yes.
You stop your brain from thinking that it doesn't know how to do this by telling it does.
Yes. I love hearing you say that, because there was many times that the incompetent story was the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's always, and it's like, and you're right, that story is hard to fix, but fear really is on some level easy to fix. It's not, it is, because when you've learned and when you've practiced stepping through fear, and when you've practiced stepping into your future self, like you said, and being able to look around and go, this isn't forever. This is part of the journey, because she has a functioning cleanse. She knows how to do this. So clearly this is just part of the learning process. Right? Yeah.
Right.
Which I love. And so then I loved it. I loved this part, even though I, as your coach, said, don't do it. You wanted to jump in and you're like, I know how to fix it. I just need 2 8-hour days and I can fix it, and I'm going to run it on this date. And it was very action oriented, which was
as always,
right? Because you're moving, you were stepping through fear, which was awesome, and a way to get back in it. And we coached a little bit about it. And I said, cool, let's not change our whole game plan of what we have going on. Let's not make that the focus, because we really wanted, and one of the reasons that I said that, I can see how it's true now, is that we wanted to come from that future self place even more, the person who knows what they're doing. When the cleanse came back around, I didn't want you to just do it because, even though it was great, I'm stepping through fear and I want to do it again right, and I want to get it right. Yeah. We wanted to do it in a way that made sense. And it made a lot of sense at the beginning of the year. And so I just said, okay, just pause it and let's keep going with what we're working on. And we did. We went on.
Which was anxiety, was lots and lots and lots of fun. No, not a bit.
Which I love, because we're setting your business up so that it's evergreen. Every year at the same time, you'll talk about anxiety. You'll be speaking to those people that, in case you didn't know, anxiety can be a symptom of menopause. It can spike in menopause when your body changes. So
it can show up out of nowhere in menopause.
Yes. And so if you recognize yourself in that statement, go to menopause.guru and get the anxiety help kit. Anxiety symptom survival kit. We're going to come up with an awesome name for that too.
Yeah.
And I said, let's just keep going. Let's keep doing what we're doing. And so we went through anxiety month, and you did great. And you showed up as your future self always in that month, right? You didn't slow down. You didn't stop doing what you were doing. You jumped right back in and you said, my future self has this and I'm going to complete it. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Which was awesome.
My future self had a little bit of anxiety.
Based on, we're all law of attraction. So when you start talking about anxiety, that can bring it up. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Start to attract it a little bit. And so we actually said, and it was being honest, okay, that was tough, instead of being in a place that's like, oh, I can do this. Just hey, this is tough. And it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe we should not do depression next month then. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Maybe that's not the best. And just being open in the process to, okay, how can we change up what we have in a way that feels good and is now, because this is what happens. And people think you lay out this plan in the beginning, you lay out the whole roadmap, you follow it 100%, but you follow the breadcrumbs of inspiration. And sometimes that inspiration leads to something even better, which is what happened. So we said, let's move depression. Let's go to Deb, who we're going to come back to, because we're going to come back to that. We thought she was done. We thought we'd written the emails. And when we opened the document, started reading it, and you went, there's no emails here. And I remembered, oh yeah, we didn't do emails because she was a Facebook post. So you were a little freaked out when it was just a Facebook post and not emails. But I remember like, oh yeah, I remember the conversation. And so then talk a little bit about, there's no emails.
Yeah, so I actually didn't remember the conversation,
Uh-huh.
but when I read the Facebook post, I remembered, talking through it and what a good story it was, how I had dealt with my own descent into craziness when I had to deal with my own personal numbers, when my blood pressure was high and my cholesterol was unchecked. And I was like, oh, shoot, I'd really like to talk about this again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that basically what I had done for myself was create a kind of jumpstart cleanse based on not necessarily all the research that I had done in the years since then, but on the research that I had done then, and with a conversation with my doctor about changing my eating and being more mindful of my eating in order to get my numbers under control. And I said, oh, that's the cleanse.
Yeah. It was like,
maybe Deb should be doing the cleanse.
yeah, you said, oh, yeah, this is the lead in for the cleanse. Like, yeah, this is, and so what's so fascinating about that and normal and typical at the same time is that a year ago you weren't ready to do the cleanse.
No. No. I was still ready to deal with one person at a time.
Yes.
I still wasn't confident that if I offered a solution that I thought was good for just about anybody, I won't say anybody, but just
Mm-hmm.
about anybody, that I could either explain it in a way that everybody could use it,
Mm-hmm.
or that it would be the right solution for everybody. I felt like I needed to control that more. And now I know that this is the right solution. This is the right start for a lot of
Yes.
people, for most people, is to just take a few days to really say, am I willing to step in and take charge of my own health? Or would I rather go to the doctor and get a antipsychotic pill, psychoactive drug, or hormone therapy? And my clients don't want that. My clients want to take control of their own menopause journey. They want to take care of that charge of their own health. And so this is a good way for them to step into that and see what it means. And I do warn them, this is probably the strictest they will eat, and the strictest they will be on a regimen for 5 days. And then things can ease off and we can find the right path for them, exactly, because it is unique. It's both common up at the beginning, and then it becomes more unique and more personalized as you go through the whole journey.
I love that. And I made some notes for us to write emails on later because you so amazingly described that. And what I want to highlight, because I really want to give you guys all the breadcrumbs, is that in doing the cleanse and setting the intention of having 100 people go through the cleanse in January and coming to the end and going, well, what are you going to do if when all these people want to continue on, right? Is when it really bubbled up and you were like, I could do this as a group program. And that has even evolved, right? In the beginning, it was like, I got to figure out how to do groups. Like that was your thing, is like, I need to have all these people in a group. And then as you grew your future self and as you started down this journey, it was like, no, this really is individual. Like this is, I gotta do this. And I actually think for business owners, that's super important because it's where we see the process. I think individual is really important to see the step by step,
Mm-hmm.
and to figure out our own system, which we know, but we don't generally know consciously because we haven't done it enough.
Mm-hmm.
And as you did that, then you could come back around and go, oh, I know how to do this as a group program. I can totally do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And when that happened, then it's almost as if the rearranging of the days, like on the surface, it was about not doing anxiety and depression in one. But it really was back to back, it really was about the space is open for this group program. The space is open now for this, and you're ready for it.
Yes.
Yeah. And the cool thing is that when you will start to offer and deliver the cleanse is almost the exact date that you wanted to do it before. And we put pause on.
It really is. It's hysterically funny that it's coming right back to that same time frame.
Yeah. And I love what you said, because do you think if I would have said, yeah, go spend those 2 days, work on this cleanse, make it evergreen, get it all these things a month ago, that it would have been as good as it is now?
No, because once again, I would be focusing on mechanics and the uh, making sure the pieces parts were there,
Yeah.
as opposed to focusing on what Deb needs and what Deb needs to
Yes.
hear. So I've there were things that I was going to do, and I've simplified those down. There's more communication and less rules.
Oh, I think that's huge growth for you.
So it's more about um, making sure that she has what she needs, and
Mm-hmm.
less about um, if you don't do it this way, it won't work.
Ooh, that's a huge shift.
Because really, honestly, and this is what I am discovering, and more and more and more as I work with people, and work with a wide variety of people, a lot of it is stepping into that space where you can start to grow healthy habits and healthy mindset towards your own menopausal journey, and changing the way that feels to you.
Mm-hmm.
And some of that is, yeah, let's not eat the wrong things. It's more about not eating the wrong things, but um and but much of it is still about loving yourself and taking care of yourself just the way you are, because this journey, for those of you who don't realize it, it can take as much as 20 to 30 years, and that's a long time. And that's a long time in which you have to be willing to care for your body the way it needs to be cared for right now.
Absolutely. And I think that was such, as a coach, what I heard was such growth in that. Because what you always wanted to teach people in the beginning is like, this can be amazing and you've got to do all these things to love yourself. And that was very, I'm going to use the term harsh, right? It was very, and I don't know if that's the right one, but it was kind of like this in your face, XYZ, this is what has to be done. Here's the rules,
Yeah.
right? And now you've opened to this space of, I'm just going to open this path of where you can start this journey. And I'm going to tell you what to do. And I'm going to give you the space to do it. And if you want to keep going, we can keep going. And I can support you, and I can teach you how to continuously do that and set up the plan to support yourself for the next 20 to 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Or whether, some of my clients have already been on the road for 15 years. When they say, maybe there's a better way to do this.
Yeah.
Some of them, I've worked with women who are just on the beginning of their journey, like I was years before I even knew that I was on the journey. And some of them are like me, sort of at the end of the journey and saying, okay, now what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Because I have this amazing space opened up.
Yes. I love it. So we will put a link to the cleanse in the notes section of this. Um, but I just want to give people a little bit. That's 5 days. You're going to tell them exactly what to do, so I don't have to think. Even give them a shopping list, right?
Yeah, this is the part where if you want to follow the rules down to the T, you can. And if you just want to dip a toe in and maybe just do part of it, you can still do that. You can pick which rules are going to help you the most. And I've thrown in some fun things to do in the afternoon or early evening for yourself, taking care of yourself just a little bit better. It's very, if you're a super exerciser, like I said, like a, if you're a 10K or a half marathoner, you may find yourself saying, wait a minute, I can't exercise that much. But this is a time to really step back and take good care of yourself for 5 days. And if that's where you want to start, that's great. And if it's not quite what you need, if you need to adjust, you can adjust it yourself, or you can reach out to me and I will help you adjust it just for you.
I love it. That's awesome. And again, just to remind, if you recognize yourself in Deb, you might have always thought you were pretty decently healthy. Going to the doctor was no big deal. And then all of a sudden you got like this talk that did not feel good. And with a lot of things that were all of a sudden going wrong.
Big list of prescriptions that you didn't want to take.
Yes, you got sent with the pill list. And so the cleanse is great for you. So as we close up, Jeanne, what advice would you give someone who is on this journey of they're stepping into their future self, who they're going to be in 5 years, and connecting to their clients today?
I think the big thing is that when you're connecting to your client today is to realize that your future self has already connected with their client, with your client. And if she's telling you that you're doing it the wrong way, listen. If she's telling you you're talking to the wrong client, listen. If she's telling you that you can't do it, she's probably not your future self.
That is true.
Your past self or your scared self telling you that you can't do it, but your future client has already gone through all of this. And if she knows what path that you want to walk, why wouldn't you walk something that's already there?
Yes. I love it. That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this journey. I hope you all enjoyed this. You can connect with Jeanne at menopause.guru. And thank you, Jeanne.
Thank you, Cassie. It's been fun.
It's been a blast. Thank you all for listening, and make sure to check out Jeanne's next interview in her Year of Growth series.
I love helping people manifest money because when you're learning to use the law of attraction, money is such a great tool. It gives such instant feedback. There's so many opportunities to see how the energy is flowing through you and where you might be getting tripped up or not allowing it to come in. So if you've had trouble manifesting in the past, you might want to use money as a way to learn how to use the law of attraction. Now, I have helped thousands of people manifest millions of dollars using my system Manifest 10K. And now I would love to invite you to join me complimentary and pay based on your success. You heard me right. You can join, get access to my very successful program, the Enchanted Circle, and most of all, my coaching for when you get stuck. And then you can pay me 10% of what you manifest after you're successful. If this sounds good to you, go to payafteryoumanifest.com to apply. That's payafteryoumanifest.com.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction, Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn how to identify your current money story, go to identifyyourmoneystory.com.